Hi, I'm Pastor Dan. Welcome to Bible Bites, where we're reading through the Bible one small bite at a time. Today, we're going to be reading through a section. Well, this titles it Anger and Murder here, but this is very applicable for today's very divisive society. So, this is Matthew 5. We'll start with 21. You have heard that it was said to an older generation, do not murder, and whoever murders will be subject to judgment. Well, same applies for today. If you murder, you're going to be subject to judgment. It is a crime. You're gonna face discipline and punishment for that. But I say to you that anyone who is angry with a brother will be subjected to judgment. Wow. So Jesus is elevating this now. It's not just about murder, but it's actually about how we treat one another. And if we have an anger that is unnecessary, without reason, if we have this emotion of anger that we then take out on our brother, that is cause for judgment. And this is divine judgment. God will judge the reasons, the motivations of our heart. He will judge our self-control even. And it says then, and whoever insults a brother will be brought before the council, and whoever says fool will be sent to a fiery hell. Well, the council that it's referring to there is like a court of law. It's the Sanhedrin, known as the Sanhedrin back then, which is basically like a court. And whoever says fool is going to be sent to fiery hell. So this is divine judgment. Again, Jesus is saying the way that we treat each other matters. If we're just throwing around insults, disrespecting each other, God will judge that. So, wow, this is a big thing. It's not simply just about murder. Hey, as long as I haven't murdered, I'm good. But Jesus is actually saying, listen, if you treat each other horrible, if there's no love, that God will see that. God judges that. It says then in verse 23, so then if you bring your gift to the altar and there remember that your brother has something against you, leave your gift there in front of the altar. So let me explain this. You have to know something about ancient Israel or Israel in the New Testament. They would go to the temple to bring offerings before God. And so Jesus is saying, listen, if you do that, you go to take an offering to give to God, but you remember that you have something against a brother. Maybe there's disunity there. Maybe there's a bitterness that's growing in your heart, an offense that occurred. Jesus says, first, go and be reconciled to your brother, and then come and present your gift. Why? Because God judges the motivations of our heart. He sees our motivations. He sees what's in us, right? And He wants us to be right with one another. And that's important. So when we're right with one another, we can walk blamelessly, in a sense, before God, right? Or at least that's part of walking blameless before God. And he says, listen, when you go to your brother, reach agreement quickly with your accuser while on the way to court. Or he may hand you over to the judge, and the judge hand you over to the warden, and you will be thrown into prison. I tell you the truth, you will never get out of there until you have paid the last penny. So this last section that I just highlight here, Jesus is just teaching us to live wisely, right? So in our culture today, people are easily offended. You could easily be sued if you offend someone, right? People sue for everything and anything. They want to make money. And they're willing to put others through a lot. They're willing to disrespect, to hurt others, so that they might gain money. And Jesus is saying, listen, live wisely. If someone has accused you, go and set it right. Do it before you're handed over to a judge. Make right. Life is so much easier when you can do this kind of stuff outside of a court. And quite honestly, we're adults. We ought to be able to approach one another and deal with offenses. We can be big boys and big girls, so to speak. And so Jesus is just talking about living wisely there. So, wow, you can see how this applies to today. Incredible, isn't it? Very applicable. The Apostle Paul, who was a follower of Jesus, he told us that we ought to be at peace with each other as much as it is possible for us to do. Meaning, go out of your way to make peace, to keep peace, to be peaceable, and to live at peace. Now, that's not always possible, is it? Because no matter what we do, there are some that will refuse to be at peace with us. But we ought at least try. So a love for each other, how we treat each other, is super important before God. And it's not only is it important before God, but there's an element to that is just wise in how we live, right? All right, very good words for us today that we can apply to our lives. We'll continue along these lines because Jesus has other words for us. Again, all about living as part of the kingdom of God. We'll see you next week or in the next video.